Next, we will move on to the In Focus departmental presentation from the City Fire Department. Chief?
Well, first off, thanks for having me this evening. I have handouts because I wasn't sure what the AV situation was, but if that's an HDMI connection, I can plug my computer in and make this slightly more entertaining.
It is. Well, actually, no, it's the D.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
If you want to take a 10-second break, I'll find out if it works or not.
Give us an excuse to leave the lights off.
Exactly. Now it doesn't look like we're in the dark for no reason.
So I was like, well, we're having another person.
They go up like this way. This one's new, so I'm trying it out.
So while we're waiting on that to warm up, this project I'm going to talk about started really when the citizens group that got together to kind of champion our levy in 2020 started. They wanted to come around and look at the infrastructure of the fire department. They knew that we had a staffing issue, but they also felt that there was other aspects that needed to be addressed. And one of the things that, if anybody attended any of those meetings, one of the things that they highlighted as a need at the time was replacing Engine House 2 at 6th and Harrison. It's kind of become our poster child for, wow, you guys live like this. Because I've heard that many times, probably some people sitting right close to me right now. So after the levy passed, thank you everybody that voted yes for the Safety Forces levy. The then chief and myself as assistant chief started looking around for options for what we could do. And at that time, the focus was really on, we have to do something solely about Engine House 2, and we weren't looking big picture at the rest of the city. So this entire presentation is what that has morphed into, and we've since started looking at what we feel as the department is best for the city long term. Because let's face it, building a fire house is not a cheap endeavor, and we're looking at a 50 to 100-year decision as to where we place firehouses. So with that said, we started pulling some numbers out of our run data, and I worked with, and here I'm just going to go to slide number 2. Most of the credit for this presentation really goes to Assistant Chief Schultz, who ran all the data and exported it into lots of spreadsheets, and then got together with Scott Snyder, who is our GIS manager, and started looking at response times and what made sense for the city for firehouse placement when it comes to response times. Because in the fire service, that we live and die by that. The national standard is to get to your emergency within 6 minutes. And as we get through these slides, I'm going to show you where we're at today versus where we could be with our vision of what we're looking at doing here. So I tried to not put a lot of fluff in this because I knew when the SSD said, come do this, that I also had a time limit. I didn't know I was going to be the tail end of 3 tonight. So I'm not saying I'm going to rush through this, but we're going to move through it. So Engine House 3 is our newest fire station, and it was opened in 1966. At that time, the city was a whopping 10 square miles with a population of just under 30,000 people. Today, we have those same 3 firehouses. So the 3 yellow dots up there that you see are where our firehouses currently sit. The darker shade of blue is, with the 2 dots inside of it, is the size of the city in 1966. So everything you see in light blue all the way out to the yellow corporation lines has been growth between 1966 and the 2020 census. So as you can see, there's a lot of space out there that's taken us a while to get to. Today, in case anybody is curious, if there's a Jeopardy question, the city is 19 square miles and we have a population of just under 41,000 people. We're serving that population growth with the same 3 firehouses as we were in 1966. And as you can see, back then, all 3 stations were basically within the shadow of what was the city compared to what it is now. So for those of you who may be uninitiated to the 3 fire stations we have now, just a real brief review of what we have. So engine house number 1 up here on the hill on Chestnut Street. This, by the way, is the 125th year that station has been consecutively in service as a fire department. We are I believe, if I remember talking from our department historian, we are the 8th oldest continually functioning firehouse in the state of Ohio with this station. We're very proud of the place. We love it. We take very good care of it. In fact, this week we're just finishing up resurfacing the floor, the main truck floor there. And part of that was, it's not just aesthetics, part of it was necessity because we had some water damage we found in the basement, but that project's getting finished up. The floor looks beautiful. We do everything we can to upkeep this building, but there are some limitations to continuing to use this. One of the big ones being the fire chief is there's very little about this building that meets modern fire code. You know, if this was going to get transformed into anything else other than what it is, it would take an untold amount of money to bring it up to code to use it for anything except for a firehouse right now. The personnel facilities, we've done a little remodeling on the 2nd floor, and we're looking at some other remodeling projects. Another fun fact that's a sidebar to this is, in the last 3 years, with our hiring efforts, we have more women on the fire department than the entire history of the Lancaster Fire Department combined. So we need facilities for them. We're a 24-hour operation. They live there for 24 hours at a time. None of our firehouses have like probably up to standard facilities for, you know, male versus females. Operationally, you know, we're kind of challenged with office space for our command staff officers, for our training facilities. We're shoehorned and we make it work. We shoehorn everybody into a training room in this building, but it could use some work itself. And then there's just the economics of operating a firehouse that's this old. I'm sure some of you live in old houses and you know what the utility bills are like. I forget how many square feet this building is, but the utility bills are significant. And lastly, on my list here is eventually the size of this building is going to start affecting our apparatus decisions. We're probably only a couple years out from needing to start looking at replacing our ladder truck. And there's only certain manufacturers we can even deal with because we've had visits from other manufacturers, and even though the size of their trucks from a ladder height, how many stories we can get up standpoint is equal to what we have now, but the way the trucks are built, we cannot fit them inside this building. So it's going to start affecting bigger operations down the road. And like I said, 125 years later, and she's still operational. Engine House 2. So this station, this is the one that was the poster child during the levy campaign that we needed to upgrade our facilities. This opened up in 1955, and everything I've read, everything I know about this station is it was built with secondhand material that was not used during the efforts of World War II. So there's not much we can do to bring this up to a functioning standard fire department. Amazingly, and it's tiny. I mean, it's a couple steps and you're on the truck. The cool thing is everybody that works at that station loves it, and they may not actually want to trade it for a brand new facility. I spent a lot of my years as I was coming through the ranks as an officer over there. I loved it just as equally as everybody that's over there right now, but we need to grow. Engine House 3 out on East Main Street, like as I said, this is our newest station. This is also, on top of the engine and medic you see out there, this houses all of our administration offices. So myself, the assistant chief, our 40-hour battalion chief, our administrative assistant, as well as our fire prevention bureau and our community paramedic all have office space in this building. So with our grand plan of what I'm getting to next, this is the last station that we are looking at addressing for any kind of replacement. We have a loose plan in place that if we get everything else moving, eventually what is now the administrative side of this building will be repurposed, and we'll do some upgrades to this building, and we'll repurpose what we have to make it more functional for the on-duty crews that are there. But, you know, I'm not going to say there's zero plan to replace this building, but it is the long range plan. I will be sitting somewhere under a palm tree by the time that any of that happens. So I talked about response times, and I apologize. I tried to lighten these slides up, so this may look a little better on your handouts versus what you're seeing up there. So there's 3 different shades that you should be able to see. There's a lighter blue, a little bit darker blue, and then there's this big area of black that's inside the yellow corporation boundaries. The light blue is places we can get to between 4 and 6 minutes right now with where our firehouses sit. The darker blue is where we can get to with a max of 6 minutes. And then the black shading within the yellow is beyond 6 minutes. So if you live outside that blue area, it's assuming that our closest trucks are in quarters and not on another run, we're pushing up against that 6-minute standard. And the times are important to us. Every fire department in the world, at least in the United States, follows these same standards, because the amount of time that a fire doubles in size, if your home is on fire, depending on who you ask, is anywhere between 30 seconds and a minute. It doubles in size. You know, if you want to talk about time for EMS runs, because we have more EMS runs than we have working structure fires. You know, time is muscle. I'm sure everybody's heard that, seen it on the billboard, whatever. For every minute that you're having an active heart attack and you're not being treated, there's that much more heart muscle that's not going to recover from that event. Time is brain. I'm sure everybody's heard that campaign from billboards or radio ads or whatever. It's the same principle with brain if you're having a stroke. The longer it takes us to get to you, the worse the expected outcome is going to be for you. So, you know, response times are really important. So what we're proposing is moving 2 of our 3 fire stations to strategic locations. And we pulled this data from 2018 forward out of our reporting system. We gave that data to Scott Snyder. We gave him some rough ideas of where we thought that locations would work, and then he did the rest of it with his GIS mapping software and gave us multiple different maps of, here's a ring of 4 minutes, here's a ring of 6 minutes, here's a ring of 8 minutes. And we distilled that down to this, what I have in front of you now, just to show general locations. So in a nutshell, what we're looking at is moving Engine House 1 and Engine House 2 at essentially the same time. Because if we move Engine House 2 further to the west and north without moving Engine House 1, then the gap between the dot in the middle and the dot on the left side there that's going to become the area of greater than 6-minute response times. So with the locations that we're proposing, we're looking at being able to cover 90% of the city as it exists today, 6 minutes or less. And that's a pretty significant increase from what we have now. And I threw in here, I despise putting anything that looks like a graph or a chart in the middle of a PowerPoint. But I thought throwing one in here because this talks about that 96% coverage would just kind of add to the flair of it, I guess. So where are we looking? In our ideal, and this is a lot of discussion that we've had with, quite honestly, the previous administration last year. I know my safety committee council members here are familiar with this. You know, I've spoke with current SSD, the current mayor, and we think that once the new water plant opens, if we can get the property where the water plant currently sits, that is an ideal location for Engine House 1. It's on the main artery. It gets us north, south, east, west all fairly quickly. and there's enough space there that we can put multiple pieces of apparatus and multiple personnel there to address that run district. Couple that with, we would like to move Engine House to the Edie Road. We haven't exactly nailed down an exact location on Edie Road, but that'll give us the coverage that we've been looking for years. You know, way out West Fair, it'll give us coverage in River Valley Highlands. Edie Road is in itself essentially an artery that will get us to Fair Avenue or Memorial Drive fairly quickly to meet those response time goals. So, I mean, we've looked at options, we're still looking at options. So this is very much still a work in progress, and you know, I was asked to make a presentation on what big things are going on, you know, in the fire department, and I can't think of anything bigger than this. And we think this is a better option than, because I think everybody's aware that we've looked at multiple pieces of property near where Engine House 2 is right now, and that option comes with the need to build a fourth firehouse. And I don't even know what the timeline for that would be, but that is what the option is we would need to build a fourth firehouse. With moving two at the same time, I know it's a big ask from a financial standpoint, but I think looking down the road long term, you know, being responsible for this within the city, I think that fiscally it's a better option to be able to operate and meet our goals that we need to meet in 3 stations rather than the expense of a 4th station. And I'm not saying that's never going to happen, because if the city doesn't grow, then that's probably not a good thing either. But this will push that down the road for, even my replacement will probably be drinking something fruity under a palm tree by then. So I think that's the last one. Oh, I do want to throw in June 8th, I think, is a Saturday. So it's the Fairfield County Tour of Homes. Engine House 1 is going to be on the tour this year because it is the 125th anniversary of that station. So please come up. We're going to do a big open house. Come visit us.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate it. Do we have any council members who have questions for Chief Maffin regarding his presentation this evening?
I don't have a question, Mr. President. I just want to say thank you to you, Chief, and the administration for all the work you're putting into this to bring this to fruition. So as a Ward 2 guy, I personally appreciated seeing those response times going down and the effort you were putting into that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And we certainly appreciate the support we're getting so far on this idea of a project, I guess we'll call it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you.